Hey everyone, it's Adam Brown from diatribe.org, and we wanted to do a check-in. Bright Spots and Landmines launched a couple days ago. It launched on Tuesday, and we're extremely excited about it. Over 2,000 people have got the book so far, and we want to make sure that anyone that this book can benefit knows about it, gets it, learns something useful from all the food and mindset and exercise and sleep tips in it. So wanted to talk a little bit really quickly about how to get the book, because we've gotten a lot of questions actually, not sure how to get it or how to pay for it or how to download it, and then talk a couple food tips and questions that people have sent in. So on the getting the book, if you want to get it for free, you can. You go to diatribe.org/brightspots and click the download a PDF and then hit 0, and you have to enter your email address, but otherwise you can get a direct PDF download and read the book on a tablet or a computer or even on your phone, and the PDF looks awesome. If you want to get a hard copy book, you can get it on Amazon, and it's priced under $7, and that's actually priced at cost. So Diatribe doesn't get any revenue from it, I don't get any revenue from it, and that's just because we really care about this reaching as many people with diabetes as possible. And then also on Amazon, there's a Kindle version for $1.99. So we hope you'll check it out, even just getting the free PDF to see all the tips in there about food and mindset and exercise and sleep. And to go through a few questions that we've gotten and questions I've gotten over time, one of the first bright spots in the food chapter talks about eating fewer carbohydrates, and that's something that has made a huge difference in my life, and I aim for less than 30 grams at one time. And the book talks about how I do that, what I eat, recipes I cook, but we do get a lot of questions about this. So one of the big ones is, eating fewer carbs, it sounds so restrictive, I don't think I can do it. And the way that I talk about this in the book is actually a little bit different. So instead of focusing on what you lose when you eat fewer carbohydrates, I focus on what is gained. So I spend more time in my ideal blood glucose range, I have less work to manage my diabetes, I have less mental fog because my blood sugar's in range more often. It's less diabetes work because I'm not calculating as many insulin doses or trying to figure things out. So there's all these benefits I experience when I eat fewer carbohydrates. And as I talk about in the book, there's a ton of foods that allow you to do that. And so it doesn't end up feeling as restrictive as people imagine it is. So if this is something that's new to you, get the PDF, take a look at the first part of Chapter 1. There's a lot of tips in there, and a real focus on what is gained with eating fewer carbohydrates I think is really helpful. Another one that people have sent in or asked about over time is about kids. So if you're a kid with type 1 diabetes, can you eat fewer carbohydrates? And when I was diagnosed at 12, I ate a total junk diet and had tons of highs and lows and ate just like a normal teenager, because the food advice my mom and I got when we were diagnosed was you can eat whatever you want as long as you take insulin for it. And a lot of friends with diabetes were also told that, and I think it just set us up for years and years of challenges and failure and feeling crappy. So there is a group on Facebook called Type 1 Grit, and there's a bunch of parents in there who have their kids on low-carb diets and report really, really amazing results, both in terms of blood sugars and also just the mental hassle of managing diabetes. So that group has thousands of people in it, so that there are a lot of parents and kids eating low-carb now. So I recommend checking that out and talking to other parents who are doing it. And for kids, obviously, there's that balance of making them feel like they're not restricted by diabetes, but also having to make different choices. And one of the things I focus on is, from a starting point of eating a lot of carbs per day, just focus on one meal where you eat fewer carbohydrates. And I think that actually makes a tremendous difference. And if I had to pick one, it would be breakfast, because it's, often you're waking up in the morning, blood sugar is already high, or maybe starts going high because you haven't had enough sleep, or you're insulin resistant, or things are just really busy and it's stressful. So I think breakfast is the most important meal to eat fewer carbs, and I talk about lots of things that I eat for breakfast in the book, one of which is chia pudding, which I've talked about on other episodes. But other tips are just having eggs and a low-carb tortilla. La Tortilla Factory makes a really great low-carb tortilla that's like 80% fiber that I really like. So breakfast would be my choice. And then one of the last things that I think is really important and also a thrust of the food chapter is this idea of substitution. So, oftentimes with food there's bread and there's pasta and there's rice and there's all these side dishes that are served with it. And I think those are often the diabetes landmines that are really hard to carb count. It's really hard to take insulin for them, and it's hard to just avoid them because they're served with everything. So we, Priscilla and I at home, make a lot of substitution. So, substituting vegetables for whatever side dish is normally included is just one thing that we do all the time. And I always try to fill half my dinner plate with vegetables. That's just a really easy visual reminder for me. Having a huge salad with dinner so that it fills me up and I'm not craving bread or rice or pasta. There's also an incredible array of substitutions for pasta and rice that are not that intuitive, but once you start looking into low-carb recipes, there's a ton of these. So one is zoodles, which is you take a zucchini and you actually shred it on a shredder, and when you shred it, it makes kind of noodle-like things, and then you saute it. And that, it doesn't taste exactly like pasta noodles, but it kind of approximates pasta, which is really nice. Another one is spaghetti squash. So we've made spaghetti squash pad thai, and you roast a spaghetti squash in the oven, and then you scoop it out, and it scoops out like spaghetti, and then you pan fry it, and it tastes like pad thai. And then the last one that's really cool is cauliflower rice. So you take, sometimes this is sold in stores, like Trader Joe's sells cauliflower rice, and it's just shredded up cauliflower into little, almost pellets. And you can just saute that like normal rice, or you can take a head of cauliflower and put it in a blender and shred it all up into little pieces. And we do it with soy sauce and eggs, and it makes a really great approximation of fried rice. So those are just a few of the tips in the food chapter, and I want to emphasize that all these Facebook Lives are experiments, and so we want to hear what you think and what would be useful for you to hear in these. Or what's not useful and what you'd prefer to see less of. So please let us know in the comments, and there's a lot that we can address, both related to this book and also outside of it. So please don't hesitate to contact us either in the comments. You can email me. I'm at brightspots@diatribe.org or adam@diatribe.org. And please get the book if you haven't. We want everyone that can benefit from it to get it. And thank you for listening.